But first, here's Ted with the all-new Toyota Tercel.
One thing about Toyota, they are consistent. Every 4 years they bring out a new model, and you can almost set your watch by it.
This time around, it's the new Tercel, which gets a complete refit from stem to stern. Toyota has adopted the somewhat generic aero look, and the Tercel almost looks like a baby Lexus. Almost is the key word here, as it strikes me as a little cheap looking. I mean, it looks like an economy car, whereas some of its competitors, such as the Honda Civic and Nissan Sentra, have managed to look a little less obvious. And the interesting thing here is not the appearance of the Tercel so much, but the fact that Toyota has abandoned the hatchback econobox market. There are two choices, 2- and 4-door sedan, but you can no longer get the Tercel as a hatchback. Toyota obviously feel this market is no longer as profitable as it used to be. Inside the car, it's a whole new ball game as well. The dash and instrumentation have been completely redone, and aside from a rather useless shelf running along the top of the dash, it all works well. I particularly like the new instrument cluster treatment. Almost nothing in the way of storage and stowage space, though. There are 3 versions, S, DX, and LE. Basically, equipment level is what separates them. Our test car was the top-of-the-line LE model. All 3 are powered by a 1.5-liter overhead camshaft 4-cylinder engine with 3 valves per cylinder and electronic fuel injection. Power output is 82 horsepower at 5,200 RPM, up 4 over last year's model. And 3 transmissions are offered, 4-speed manual, 5-speed manual, and 3-speed automatic. As you might expect, the drivetrain is first-rate with a smooth, easy-to-manage shifter and good power range. It's not going to set any speed records, but it's not designed to. Fuel consumption figures for the new Tercel were not available when we tested it, but 7 liters per 100 kilometers, or 40 miles per gallon, is definitely in the ballpark. Nor has Toyota officially released its pricing structure, but a company spokesman tells us that it'll probably be around $9,300 to start. I guess my biggest problem with the Tercel is that Toyota seem to be giving less car for the money. For example, you can only get a remote trunk release on the DX and LE models, which is a real pain in the neck. Even the most basic Hyundai or Suzuki have this as standard equipment, and I think it's pretty cheesy of Toyota to make it optional. I've also got a real problem with these incredibly small P155 by 80R 13-inch wheels and tires. Toyota has utilized them to keep fuel consumption down, but they look chintzy and affect the car's handling performance. Larger tires are definitely needed. On the plus side, the Tercel is surprisingly quiet during highway driving, thanks to the new streamlined body style, and trunk space is quite impressive, 10.7 cubic feet with the rear seat down. Unfortunately, you can only get a 60-40 split seat on the DX and LE models, again, a little on the cheap side. But whether you like the look of it or not, one thing's for sure, the new Tercel is bound to be dead reliable. This is a hotly contested market segment. The Tercel will find itself competing against the likes of the Suzuki Swift sedan, the new Hyundai Scoop, the Volkswagen Fox, Daewoo Optima from Passport, Ford Escort, Mercury Tracer, and Honda Civic, to name but a few.
I do like this thing, Tony, despite what I said. I do like it. It's just that it seems like it's not the car that it used to be.
Well, I like the styling, I must say. You said you didn't like the styling. I think the styling is very, very good. I think it's very hard to get decent styling in a small 4-door car, and Toyota's pulled it off. I agree the wheels are too small. They must be great in the snow, though, those narrow wheels, like those tiny narrow tires they run on World Championship rally cars. But otherwise, I think the car is very, very good. But I agree on this business of the very, very badly equipped stripper that they use to get the price down as an entry level.
Well, you remember when we tested this car, we had to transfer our luggage from car to car as we tested the whole range. It just seemed to me every single time that we did that, we had to go out with a key and unlock the trunk. We couldn't do it from the inside of the car. Maybe we had the wrong cars, I don't know, but it drove me crazy.
Very, very irritating. As you say, there are many cheap cars with that trunk release, but I think that the cost of manufacturing cars in Japan is getting so high that even Toyota is having to do this on their entry-level cars so that they can say, well, Toyota Tercels start at $9,300.
Yeah, but just for the sake of argument, how much trouble can it be to put in a remote release for the trunk? And those tires. Now, even Toyota has admitted that, incidentally, before we go any further, those are not, the tires that we tested on that car are not the ones that will come to North America. They're going to be different tires. But nonetheless, they will be undersized. And I think the first thing anybody should do is put bigger tires and wheels on it right away.
Well, I think so. Another thing I should emphasize is that I am very, very sorry to see the hatchback go. I like hatchbacks. I think they're very practical. I can't understand why Toyota would abandon the hatchback buyer.
Well, we did ask them, and they just feel that there's not a market there for it anymore. They're basically abandoning it to the Koreans and I guess other sort of downscale manufacturers.
I think so, and I'll bet you that the average Tercel is going to cost $12,000 or $13,000.
All right, to sum up here, what don't we like about the new Tercel? I think it's cheap looking, and unfortunately, you cannot get a hatchback. Also, the tires are badly undersized. On the other hand, the instrumentation is good, drivetrain as usual from Toyota, you know, indestructible, and reliability is bound to be first class.